Hello everyone, this is Christian Duque, Mid-Atlantic Muscle, brought to you courtesy of BB Custom Suits, Olympia Tan, Iron Mag Labs, and Affordable Athletic Supplements. It seems like we've done this just recently, but we're going to try again. Now, before anything, I do want to talk about the 30th Arnold Classic coming up March the 1st through March the 4th in Columbus, Ohio, so make sure to get over to that. If you're looking for a hotel room, God bless you. You're not going to find one across the street from the venue, but there are many options around the greater Columbus area as well as Airbnb. Also want to talk about the 2018 Olympia Tan NPC Natural Eastern USA Championships in Pittsburgh, PA, March 17th, the very first show of the NPC. Be sure to check that out. It's an NPC National Qualifier. Also, be sure to check out the 2018 NPC Northern Kentucky Grand Prix Championships, March 24th in Covington, Kentucky. Also an NPC National Qualifier, If you need more information, log on to GaryUdit.com. So remember, the Natural Eastern and the Northern Kentucky Championships, the Natural Eastern is March 17th, and the Northern Kentucky is March 24th. Also, be on the lookout for TrueNovice.com, which is a project that I'm working on. It was inspired by the great Gary Udit, who is your NPC Mid-Atlantic Zone chairman. Gary is a firm believer in the true novice category. For all divisions, it gives opportunity to competitors that have never stepped foot on stage to compete against other folks basically doing the same. So it reduces the stress level and it provides them an opportunity to do even better. You know what I mean? Just imagine being able to get on stage with people that are just like you, that have never competed. You know, this is the first time for you. So I'm a very, very big believer in that. And so we are all going to be pushing for that. And I have to thank my team. Even though I'm flying solo tonight, I'd like to thank my co-host, Jimmy Hornbeck, our technical producer, Hector Mendoza, our executive producers, Rick Bayardi and Gary Udit, and of course, John Powers, who is the owner of Body Solutions, LLC, 4050 Westport Road in Louisville, Kentucky, which is the home of Mid-Atlantic Muscle. So I will be hopefully joined by Adam here shortly. We tried doing this a little bit ago, and we didn't have success, but, we went over to Strength Addicts, and it was working just fine, and I'm going to add him here to have a lot more luck this time around, because we don't give up. In the NEC, the National Physique Committee, we don't give up. There's Adam. What's up?
There it is. Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. And I even wore my muscle t-shirt, so I should have been lucky, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the things, Adam, that I was telling the folks here earlier is that this is really a treat for me. A, because you're taking the time out of your busy day to do it. So first and foremost, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And the second reason is because whenever you and I speak, it seems like we're always in a really noisy, crowded environment.
Yes, and I'm not the loudest speaker in the world either. So,
well, yeah. You're very diplomatic. You're a very classy individual. So we did an interview backstage at Mr. Jim Mann's Pittsburgh Championships. That was really loud.
Yes.
Then we did an interview at Dave Lieberman's Natural Ohio, a couple of them. Those were always loud. And then we did an interview on the sidewalk at the Arnold Classic where I was like, I think we had two of your competitors, one on each side. And I had my video camera, and there was only maybe like 3 or 4 feet between us, but it was enough room for a jogger to run right in between.
Right at the end of the interview. Yeah.
Right
so we just rolled with it.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure we've done more interviews too. So this is definitely a treat. Now, one of the things that I was telling the folks is there's really so much to talk about. So I'm going to try to be concise, which, my co-host Jimmy Hornbeck will tell you that is not one of my strong suits, but I will definitely try to be concise. You have, number one, a very, very successful contest prep business. You just opened a gym.
Yep.
And you have supplements.
I do, yes.
So how did the See You Later Leaner empire begin? I mean, that's a pretty loaded question, but how did it begin?
So I actually owe the name to a client of mine in terms of, she actually made me start an Instagram, and that was the Instagram name. So I started training people in 2002, and as I learned more about bodybuilding, the more infatuated with it I became, and I got more and more interested in doing shows. And so I decided to do my first show in 2010. And after I successfully had prepped, that was really what made me say, you know what, I want to help people do this. So I got a few clients under my belt. And back in 2010, no one had really done macro dieting. And that was something I was just getting into. That was actually a really big obstacle for me to overcome in getting people to do that. So, and actually, I'll admit, my first prep, I actually ate the same foods all the time because that's actually what I was taught. But I just knew that that wasn't sustainable for people to do. So I started looking for different ways, and the internet's just a really powerful tool. And that's how I found Dr. Joe. And then he basically mentored me to be the coach I am today. And I'm still a part of his wonderful program, which is the Diet Doc. And we actually, I'm actually one of his perfect peaking directors. So I actually, instead of doing guesswork for how to peak people, Joe actually taught me how to do it. So I actually went to a lot of his.
Finish your thought. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. But I actually essentially worked with a lot of people under Joe's watch and watched how he peaked people. And then I fine-tuned my process from there. So it was, it's really nice to kind of know what you're doing versus I think a lot of coaches have to experiment through that, through that phase.
Right.
And it takes a lot of learning and tweaking to learn how to do the final phases of somebody's peak week. And also, as a new coach, you're scared because if you have someone looking good, you don't want to mess it up. And but one of the things Joe taught me is just because somebody looks good doesn't mean you can't make them look better. And that's one reason why Jesse won the overall. I think to the amateur eye, backstage, people said, you look great. But I actually manipulated a lot of things for Jesse's show that day. She was actually very sodium flat, which is contrary to belief. A lot of coaches cut sodium, but I actually loaded a lot of sodium for Jesse, and I actually had her drinking a lot more water than what we had planned on that day. The venue was kind of cold. There were a lot of issues with the lights that day, and we ended up taking the stage a little later than we would have liked to. That was one of the best shows that I've been to, though. I love the Kentucky Muscle.
Oh, absolutely. And I introduced, I don't know if you had met him before, but I had to make it a point for you to meet Brent Jones because I think that, I'm a firm believer that one of the most important elements to the success of the NPC are the prep coaches. Your clients, I think, especially in your case, hold you in such high regard, and they really value your opinion. And I feel like a contest prep coach can really, sort of really impart on their athletes just how deep the lineup is in the NPC, just how valuable the IFB Pro League Pro card is, and the doors that it opens and the opportunities that it opens. Is it the easiest pro card to get? Absolutely not. But once you get it, it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no pro card on this planet that even comes close to it. And so a lot of people are like, oh, but it's so hard. Yeah, it is hard, but once you have you're set apart from everybody.
And as a coach, that's what makes it wonderful. I had a male in men's physique. Fran Thomas got his pro card this year at North Americans. And I don't think I've jumped out of my seat that high in my life. And I didn't even see him get his award because I ran to the backstage. And then if you'd made it back there, you saw two grown men crying. It was a memory I'll never forget, And it's almost contrary to belief. A lot of people think I only work with women, but my men come in really sharp too. And that actually helped the men come around. They're like, oh, he does prep men. So, but when you have a dynamic approach, you do a little bit of everything.
Now, I want to tell the folks, when you're watching this, you have the opportunity to leave a comment, and then right below that, there's like a heart. You can, hit those hearts like crazy because that'll show Adam how much support he has. So I want to see those hearts like really like shooting up like crazy. But what I want to say though, no, you even said that you wanted to like sort of trick folks a little bit, like they kind of throw a curveball at him by when we said we're going to do that graphic, instead of having one of the female competitors, which is, I would imagine that people that may perhaps not know you as well as I know you, may think you only work with women, but you actually work with a lot of men. So look at the hearts there. Good stuff, Good job, guys.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
I could probably get more hearts if I had like the charisma of like Vince Neil from Motley Crue, but I think I did a pretty good job. I got, some people there, moving, so that's good. But what I wanted to say, I want to go back to something that you had mentioned earlier. Backstage, sometimes, if a competitor's flat or a competitor is not popping exactly or something's a little bit off, I think that's where you really can differentiate the real prep coaches from a lot of the posers, unfortunately, that are lining their pockets with competitors. The kind of prep coach that, let's say, for example, somebody that just literally just looked at a weight, okay? And they're like, oh, I want to get my pro card in a year. There are prep coaches out there who know that competitor is nowhere near ready to even compete on the national level, but they will take your money and never think twice about it and just tell that person whatever they want to hear in exchange for the fee. And so to me, that, one of the things about Mid-Atlantic Muscle I think is important is that we're going to really help the competitors, kind of like a roadmap, which I think is important. But what I was going to say, what separates, and I'll shut up here in a second, but what separates the posers from the real coaches is like you're backstage and you can see if your competitor is not responding, say, to sodium or responding to the water, responding to the carb. Mm-hmm. Changes. You can make alterations. You know what I mean? Whereas a poser couldn't. I know prep coaches who copy other prep coaches word for word. So I think that's a sign of a real coach is if they this isn't going right, let's change it. And they know their competitors that well, and their competitors trust in them to follow along. Yeah.
A lot of coaches will give a peak week where one of the major pitfalls is somebody's not lean enough to peak in the first place, because it's very small and minute changes. But you can't really peak somebody that has 20% body fat, and I hate saying that, but what I would do as a coach, I don't really say I won't work with somebody because everyone's after the top athlete in the sport, and everyone else has their eyes on that athlete. What I like to do is take somebody who hasn't ever competed before and make them a top athlete. And when you have that therapeutic relationship together for years, that client will never leave you. And I would almost say I almost don't turn down anybody, but I put those competitors in the right shows, if that makes sense. So the Natural Eastern and the Natural Kentuckys are great shows for first-time competitors.
Well, we've got the Natural Eastern March 17th, and we have the NPC Northern Kentucky, which is on March 24th. The Natural Kentucky's later in the year, actually the last show of the year. But I tell you, those are great competitions. The Jeff and Angie Sherman show it's growing every year. It grows more and more and more, and the location is fantastic. It's right across from Cincinnati. I mean, literally, the only thing separating it from Cincinnati is the Ohio River. That's it.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, and then the title sponsor there is Affordable Athletic Supplements, which is an amazing supplement store. Yeah, they have absolutely everything. And then Olympia Tan is a title sponsor for the Natural Eastern, and they're also a sponsor of this show. And see, that's one of the things that I always, I try to tell competitors, I do a lot of backstage interviews and photos and whatever. And I try to tell people, listen, if you're going to do a show, we have BB Custom Suits. They make amazing suits. If you're going to do a show, after you spend all this money on the food and the training and travel and the hotels, I mean, it really adds up.
It really does.
Yeah, it does make sense to me for a competitor to have a hand-me-down suit. I know some competitors do that. They're like, oh, well, my friend competed and she's giving me her suit or she's selling me her suit for $100. Well, that suit wasn't made for you. That suit was made for her. So you're wearing someone else's suit that might be too tight or it might be too loose. It wasn't made for you. So it's you're at risk, winning a show because you and I get that they're not cheap, but you really get what you pay for also. And the other thing goes with the color. Olympia Tan, they take walk-ins, they take appointments. But the thing is, so every option is available. But, I just don't get it. I've seen people that actually not want to show because their color's off or their suit's not right.
Right.
It
does make a difference because sometimes it's close and it can come down to a point, A lot of people will think it's political. That's for sore losers. So,
I think, too, 100% agree.
you just have to accept defeat in the sport if you're going to play. And like, quite frankly, like, I've built my business on losing, to be honest, because every time I took competitors to show, I made darn sure that they were better. So, and if people accept that loss and just say, I need to get better, that's what's going to take to get better,
Yeah, Sierra Rose _fit says Adam is the best coach, educator, and cheerleader. And I'll tell you something, that is so true, because I really believe in the hand-holding approach. Honestly, I do. That a coach should be there from A to Z, from beginning to end. I see how, see you later, Leaner, the team is backstage. I see how you guys are huddled up. It's like almost like a micro community backstage. And I think when people think of micro communities, or they think of the group mentality, they think that it's closed to others. It's not closed to others. Anybody can go and talk to you guys. You guys are not,
right,
it's not like it's cloistered away, but you do have that camaraderie that I think is so important. And when someone goes on stage to know, it's like a family back. Goes on stage to know, it's like a family back there. I mean, everybody in the NPC is a family.
Yeah.
You guys have even one more level on that. And I think that's really, really important. You know what I mean? And the other thing I was going to say too is that you've done this so many times. I mean, there's really, I mean, there's only a few coaches, I would say. I mean, there's you, there's Hoydick, there's Eli, there's Mabry. There's most of you guys are in Ohio, which is also frightening because, I mean,
we've got a strong group in Ohio, and those names you mentioned, I fear what their competitors are going to look like. They bring fire. And you know what? I love Brian and those guys, because that's what makes my business better, is going up against prep coaches like that, And I'm super competitive, not for myself, but for my clients more so than anything. So,
and the thing about it too is that you are doing this over and over and over again. So any possibility that there's some sort of coincidence or some, I mean, basically what you're doing is you're becoming so sought after that, it's like there's like a who's who of people that want to work with you. And so talk to us about the supplements in the gym, because it's, I understand having the team, but then to also have the supplement industry is very, very tough. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially protein powder. A lot of companies will have, branched chains, and they'll have pre-work, but the protein powder, which you have, that's also another risk that a lot of companies nowadays aren't wanting to take. They don't want to sell protein because there's not a lot of money in protein. There's also a lot of money. Good protein's more expensive, and people don't want to shell out when they can get protein for like $10 at Walmart. But you get what you pay. So how'd you get into the supplements and to the gym?
Yeah, so actually I have a friend, Jeff, who actually, we actually partner in the supplement industry. And there were a couple reasons I did this. One of the reasons was one of the products one of my clients was taking didn't have what was supposed to be in there. And this was a long time ago, and they actually failed their drug test. And I know for a fact that this person was not on anything. So I keep things pretty simple with my clients: protein, aminos, usually creatine. And I felt like for me, if I have people that have a possibility of testing positive, I'll actually make my own supplements instead. And so we actually have them manufactured by a good manufacturing facility. So we know that there's no pro hormones made there or anything like that can, if the wind blows the wrong way in the facility, which is what happened in my client's case, and they were kind of screwed afterwards. So I didn't want to see that happen to anybody again. So I would say that's kind of how I started that and started doing that. So it's been good. My clients can come train with me, and they can pick up protein or aminos if they need them. And it's been good for like last minute stuff like that too. So then they don't have to wait a week for something to ship to them.
I wanted to say one thing, BB Custom Suits, which is one of our sponsors, I really liked that they made this comment, and they said that even if someone did give you a hand-me-down, BB Custom Suits can alter it, and they've got your back on that. So that's a good thing too. So
that's nice to have.
Yeah, I was not aware that they would do that, that they would make adjustments, but that actually but that even speaks more to what I'm saying. So even if you got a hand-me-down suit, you could still get on stage looking amazing if you went to BB Custom Suits and had it adjusted. But then to not even do that, it's just like, it doesn't make sense to me, because even the suit designers offering you every opportunity to make you look your best. So at that point, I think competitors should not cut corners when they're so close to the stage, whether it's tan, suit, that kind of thing. Now, somebody did ask, and thank you, BB Custom Suits, for all your support for that comment, because that's a really important comment as far as adjustments. Now, this comment here, there was a comment I wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you want to answer, Adam, but I thought
I'll answer anything for sure.
Ashley KB asks, I have a low T3 hormone that makes it difficult to lose weight, even though I track macros and gym 5 times a week. Could you help?
Absolutely. So one thing I would want to know is if they've had a full panel of thyroid tests, but there's definitely a lot of issues that can happen with that. So hopefully you're getting medication from your doctor to increase T3, which will be helpful. But also there's other hormones that can be low if you're having issues like that. So if you're low in estrogen or anything like that, you're going to have to probably eat less than most people and probably do more cardio. And blood work's going to be very valuable to see actually what's going on. So it sounds like you've probably had some blood work since you're low in T3 already, but make sure that they do a full hormone test to make sure that all of that is in a good spot, because you might have other things that are off, and that's just the difference. Hormones make a big difference in how much you can eat, how much you have to exercise, how fast you're going to recover. And honestly, I have clients who eat 600 calories a day and people who eat 800 a day. And there's nothing wrong with that. It comes down to hormones and genetics. And, the problem is coaches give everyone 800 calories a day. That's not correct, because not everyone's going to be that slow on the metabolic bell curve. So just because your coach is having you eat a low amount of food doesn't mean they're wrong. But if everyone's eating that low, I would maybe think about running, So, and I do see that. Unfortunately, I see coaches who, girls start prep and they're on 900 calories and there's just no way.
Well, the thing about it, Adam, that I find to be, to a certain extent, I find to be eye-opening. On the other side, not so much because I'm in the industry, but I think that a lot of people should really, listen very carefully to what you said, because you use terms like metabolic, hormones, blood panels, things that I think the mainstream public, and dare I say some people within the fitness industry, associate with folks taking gear or other supplements, when in reality, this is something that natural athletes should be really keen on, like their blood.
Absolutely.
And even when you talked about people, there are people, not a lot, but there are people that have higher ratios of natural free testosterone. And you're talking about, if you have a competitor like that you go out of your way to find supplements specifically for that athlete to make sure that they can compete without any issue. Again, this is a level of contest prep that, quite frankly, is so, the bar is set so high with you and some of the folks that I mentioned that it's no secret why there's so much demand to want to work with you, and why you're my friend and why you're doing this interview. You know what I mean? Because I'm honored that you're here.
And one thing I want to encourage, Ashley, you can still lose. It's just that you're simply just going to probably have to work a little harder than everybody else. So I want to encourage you to do that. And spring's on the way, so when you go to do cardio, don't feel like it always has to be on the treadmill. You can go out and enjoy the good old outdoors and, make your cardio different and fun. Not all of it has to be on the stair climber or anything like that. So pick up something you enjoy along the way. So
now we've talked about the personal training business and we've talked about the supplements. Talk to us about the gym. Now I know I mentioned it earlier, but That's another huge investment that a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to get in the gym business.
The gym business is actually very different with what I did. So I actually bought a house that needs a total renovation, but it has a detached 3-car garage. So I actually train all my clients from my house now. And like you said, it just makes it a really personable, tight, close niche environment, because I'm essentially inviting my clients into my home now. And I'm with my dogs, and actually one's here trying to get in my lap right now.
Can you show us?
Yeah, I'll get him. Come over here. We'll bring one of them over.
And you got I think you have some supplement there. I see some kind of...
I did. I actually hit him because you were with Iron Mag. This is Rasta.
Oh, wow, look at that. Is that a gentleman or a lady?
It's a boy, and he's a Cocker Spaniel. And then I'll get Eeyore for you, too. He just stepped away for a minute.
Go get him. We'll wait. It's okay. I had to get up to turn on another light, so just go get him. We'll
and
wait.
then here's Eeyore, who probably reminds me of your dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Bruno. Yeah. Wow. And that's...
But yeah, I do have the supplements. I usually have my cabinet stocked, but I knew you were with the Iron Mag, so I didn't want to step on any toes.
That's Iron Man Labs is a great sponsor, but the only thing I would have done is I would have put the supplements on the top shelf, and then but that's okay. But I was going to tell you that the gym thing, I think really, if you have your approach is great. J.M. Mannion, they have a photo gym, which is really cool. John Powers, Body Solutions in Louisville, which is our home studio for Mid-Atlantic Muscle. Yeah, he has a great gym, and just about anybody. Well, I should say a lot of people can go in, but he controls the door. So I think it's a good idea because, I hate to say this, but, a lot of gyms nowadays, people don't have respect. You know what I mean? They'll try equipment. They, back in the day, you didn't need to have a sign that said wipe down your it was just common courtesy, But unfortunately, there's two elements I feel. One is people don't respect anything. So it's good to sort of regulate, determine, should this person come in, should not. And that'll keep the place, looking good. And then, unfortunately, this is kind of like a dig at some of our friends in the fitness industry. And I hate to say this, but there are some people that associate hardcore with dump.
Right.
And a hardcore does not have to be a dump. In fact, I'd prefer if it wasn't. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, and what's great is my clients that don't live here can actually come for the whole weekend and come train with me. And I can run down there and shoot some quick videos to a client that they have a question on a workout or anything. So it's been wonderful. And honestly, since the gym's at my house, it's actually opened up a lot of business for some of my other clients to pick up, teaching people how to pose and stuff like that. Because now they're doing it at their gyms that they work out of. So that's one thing that's been great about this team is I feel like I've really been able to help a lot of other people's businesses because there's only so much one person can do. And if I do too much, I'm going to spread myself too thin. So I want to make sure everyone's getting the best help in all regards. So
absolutely. And that was the last thing I was going to say. And that was going to be really all I had to say. But posing. You had mentioned that's so important too, and now I'm sure you've heard the rule now that it's no longer top 5, it's top 2.
Yeah, that
so
really changed my strategy on a lot of things. You're going to see some smaller teams going in because if I have 2 girls in the same class, why would I put 2 more girls in that class who might not qualify? Because hopefully my girls take top 2. There's no point in me putting 4 girls in that class. So. As a coach, you need to be strategic more strategic. I'm not going to bring 40 people to Lakewood this year because why would I?
But you can still bring them, but be more strategic about it. I mean, the thing about it is that there's, I think what's happening is the level, the bar keeps going higher and higher. And, I think one thing that I've noticed the last couple of years is the promoters, especially, and the judges. I feel bad for the judges. I got to be honest with you because, first of all, I could never be a judge because I'm way too indecisive.
Such a hard job.
Yeah, it's come back in a week. I should have, I can't, so I'm too indecisive. But the thing is, I think it really pains judges when they see a competitor that, quite frankly, should win the whole division, but they can't give that competitor that placement because they don't know how to pose. Or,
right.
And it's a little embarrassing in a way because, especially if they mess up like a mandatory pose. I mean, some people just don't know. And the thing is, there's things you can learn on YouTube, and there's, like, for example, you couldn't learn how to fly a plane on YouTube, and I would not advise that. And the same thing, like posing. I mean, like, there's so many great clinics that are, a lot of them are free. I mean, like the Hornbecks, they do a free one in Louisville, and it's like, to not go to a free clinic.
Yeah. They just held one this weekend. It's a great, it's great to meet the people who are judging you too. So I think, and again, I'm not saying that from a political perspective, but plant your foot in the sport and get to meet people, like get to know people, and it makes it that much more enjoyable. Those people will remember you, and they want to see you improve just as much as I do. So.
And you guys, listen, the folks that are here, we got like 30 people, like in and out. So we got, like maybe like 200 total, which is amazing. And then there's probably going to be, everybody watches your interviews. Like when I'm doing with Strength Addicts, thousands of views easily at the end of the year, because people, I've noticed that competitors that really want the pro card, they will watch the interviews with the top coaches just to see if they can get anything. Because, the competitor that wants to go pro will stop at nothing. In terms of, knowledge of diet, posing, lights. I mean, there's that will go to a show, and just look at the lights. They'll go as a fan, and they'll look at the lights. They'll look at the stage. They'll look at they'll listen to the audio, the acoustic. They plan their whole year, with just incredible strategy, because they're on a mission. They have tunnel vision. That's why
absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes backstage.
And you smell that tanner, and I love the smell of that because it's like, the season has begun, and I can't wait to smell that smell at the Arnold.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, there's competitors that are like that, you know what I mean? And so it's posing is so important, and especially, I've got to say, especially the bikini competitors and the men's physique competitors, their time on stage is like seconds.
Yeah, it's not very long, so...
the bodybuilders, they have 6-7 mandatory poses. Bikini and men's physique competitors, if they don't nail it, I mean, that's why George Brown. I'm a huge supporter and fan of George Brown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Posing is flawless. I was going to use an expletive as an adjective, but I won't do that. It's a classy show. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the fact that he has a killer physique, I mean, that doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, he looks phenomenal. I would like to see him place higher in the Olympia. I was backstage, and my heart sank because he's hometown. I got to root for him. Of course, I'm rooting for RD Caldwell at the Arnold Classic. He's going to be competing this year, so I have my picks, of course, on who's going to win. But I always root for somebody like RD to get and kill it.
I mean, you talk about like natural bodybuilding. I mean, I know he's a classic men's physique now, but
well decorated natural bodybuilder and just a super humble guy. He's accomplished a lot, and he's just somebody you always meet at shows, and you're like, hey man, good to see you.
Absolutely. Dean Caputo, who I'm honored is here. Completely honored. Says that he's looking forward to seeing you at the North Coast Championships.
We will be there. I'm actually sponsoring that show this year, so that's going to be something new that I haven't done before. But Dean runs an absolutely great show, and a lot of younger athletes do that show. But it is a really, really good, well-ran, fun show. If you want to go to your first show, I highly recommend the North Coast to kind of get your eye on the sport.
When you guys hear someone, on Adam's level say that, I mean, I'm a firm believer that first impressions count for so much. So if Adam is telling you to go to the North Coast Championships, that he's basically, that's like probably the biggest endorsement / testimonial that you could get from anyone, because they're saying, this is the very best that the NPC has to offer. So he's telling you to go do that show. So
I sent 3 of my girls in who all did nationals, and So they all came out with first place finishes, and
That's awesome.
and then one had the collegiate overall, which was exciting, Ann Kramer. And it was just a really, really fun show. And both of those girls finished top 15 in nationals this year. Actually, I think one was 10 and the other was 11th, if I remember correct.
And you know, and just in case if anybody happens to see this, they're like 10th, 11th, you know, and they're not impressed by that. Remember, there's upwards of 30 competitors in each of those. So
and
when
40
you
in some.
that's a big deal.
Yeah. And I tell all my girls, you know, hang in there, because you know what? 2 of those girls graduate to the next level. So cross those names off. You're maybe 8th next time. And then the next time, let's shoot for top 3. And then hopefully pro the next time. You just got to go in and keep fighting. You know, don't give up. I see so many girls give up because they beat themselves up. And this sport is tough. It's tough physically. It's tough mentally too. But I do really pride myself on whatever my clients give me, I can give them back. And, you know, the more of a therapeutic relationship we have together, I feel like I can really keep somebody in the sport and understand what they need. Sometimes my clients know the answer better than I do, you know. Like, should I compete this year? I don't know. You tell me, because you know that answer better than I do.
Absolutely. And Dean says that Ann is a part of the April 7th North Coast Seminar and Posing Clinic. So that's really cool.
Very awesome. See, it's cool to see my clients just grow and do great things. And this is why I support the NPC, because there's just no better organization.
No, there's not. And tell you,
there are copies out there. So,
well, they copy, but they're nowhere near as good. And I'll tell you something else. The only other thing I have to say too is, we know on this show, obviously we love, you know, everything there is to do with the NPC and the IFBB Pro League, but you know, we have like a healthy. Like a healthy extra pride for the Mid-Atlantic zone. And there's something about the Maz that I think is really unique, and it's something that our chairman, Gary Udit, said actually on set at Body Solutions, and he said that wherever you go in the Mid-Atlantic zone, whether it's Virginia, D.C., Maryland, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Ohio, every show is run along the same lines.
Yeah.
So if you're going to judge a show in Kentucky, it's the same order as in Delaware. If you're going to be a competitor and you're going to compete in D.C., it's going to be the same quality as in Ohio, because the whole mass, the uniformity and the high bar that is set in the Mid-Atlantic zone is something that we're really, really proud of. And that's not to say that other zones aren't, you know, at the top of their game. That's just to say that, you know, our chairman and of course Rick Boyardi and all of the state chairs and state officials take great pride in that the Maz has that uniformity for the judges and the competitors and the fans. That's really, really special.
It's nice to see those faces like Andy and Rick and, you know, Dave and honestly Dean and everybody supporting those shows. It feels different when I go somewhere else. So, you know, it's just you know, I travel a lot as a coach because I try to go to, you know, any show I possibly get out of our zone on occasion. And it feels like a Shark Tank because I'm like, I don't know anybody here. It's just different, you know, and nobody knows me. So it's just bizarre, you know. So it's it's good seeing, you know, everybody. So
absolutely. Okay, so wrapping up, where can friends and fans, you have a lot of friends, you have a lot of fans, and potential client fans and potential clients, where can they go to?
Yeah, so they can look for me on Instagram, See You Later Leaner, and then you can also find me on Facebook, Adam Atkinson.
And so, See You Later, that's S-E-E, not the letter C, but E-E. See You Later.
S-E-E, you got it.